our associate minister here at CSLDC. He is a Center for Spiritual Living ordained minister. He's also a Jedi. I've known him for about 10 years, and I remember the first time that I saw him, I was like, wow, who is this guy, this very powerful speaker, and he just brings so much truth and knowledge and practical information for us to apply these principles in our daily lives. So it's my pleasure to bring to you Reverend Raymont Anderson.
So once again, good morning. Got a question for you, sort of like an opening quiz. There's a gentleman by the name of Satchel. Betty's like, no quizzes today. Satchel Paige. You know who that is? Anyone? African American baseball player. So on my refrigerator, I have a quote, and it says from Satchel Paige, and he says, if you didn't know how old you were, right now, if you didn't know how old you were, how old would you be? Now, the fact that this question is even being asked says that we can do something about it. Because one of the things Terry said is there's an abundance of, and there's this list of things, right? But isn't there also an abundance of youth, vitality, vibrancy? And what we tend to do is, if you could be any age, what age would you be? And we choose, typically, the one that we are. I was born March 25th, 1966. This present moment, I'm 52 years old. Went to the doctor the other day for the first time in like 2.5 years. Tracy laughed at me when I came back and told her this, but my brand new doctor looked at the chart, looked at me, looked at the chart, looked at me, and asked me if my birth date was correct. Like, I've been writing it for a while, so yeah, why do you ask? She said, because you look like you're in your mid-30s. Oh, no. Go on, tell me. But this idea that we are far more than a birth date. Hallmark is a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry that brainwashes us with many of their greeting cards to buy into the lie that we're old. They convince us of, you're 30, you're getting close. You're 50, you know that means there's one foot in the, you know what. You're 60, don't light the candles, you might burn the house. Like, all of these things. And I understand, on one side it's like, oh, that's cute and it's funny, but we have to be mindful of, is there a part of our consciousness that is receiving this idea, which then means we are taking the cup and we are pouring out and looking in to notice how much life we have left, how much age we have left. And we start counting down days rather than looking forward to days. So there's this idea of we get to choose, not specifically the number, but we get to choose what that number means. There are trees, I'm sure you've heard of them, sequoia, huge, massive structures that if we were to cut into it and look and count the number of rings, we would be counting, and counting. It's like, wait a minute, this tree was here 500 years ago, 700 years ago. Now the thing is the tree, because unless it is experiencing, unless it receives some external virusy thing, it stays strong. Even in its agedness, it is strong. It is grounded. It is sunken into the earth. It receives its nutrients. It reaches towards the sun, and it stands. It doesn't question. Well, I've been around for 500 years. I should probably start to wither, shouldn't I? I mean, that's what folks expect. I should probably wither. I should probably just go ahead and weaken myself. But it doesn't. And if we looked at many things in nature, we would find similar things. Even spring, there are perennials that come back, that remind us every day, every season is brand new. We get to choose. We do not have to hold on to the sins of the past, the ideas of the past, the ideas that are placed into this mass consciousness about who and what we are. So if we get to choose how old we are, we also get to choose how much love we have to give, how much love we have to receive, how open we are going to be. We get to choose that too. And if we get to choose that, then, let's start really thinking about what all do we get to choose that we think our moms and dads and teachers and ministers and government and whoever are telling us and that we didn't choose. Because there are certain things I didn't choose. I didn't choose my name. Now, there are some metaphysicians that say, on one level, there's a soul contract and you did choose your name. We're not going to talk about that for right this moment. Right? We're going to talk about here in the human place of effect. I didn't choose my name. My parents chose my name. And originally, my name was going to be Raymond, named after one of my mother's older brothers, Raymond. And my mother said, oh, no, because he did something and made her angry. So what did she do? Took the D off and put a T in place. I didn't choose my name. I didn't choose the first name. I didn't choose the second name. I didn't choose that my uncle would then get angry at me because of a name change. The man didn't speak to me until I was like 10 or 11 because my mother changed my name. I didn't get to choose that. And for the longest time, I chose to hold on to the idea that I am resented. Didn't have a name for it. It was about their age. I didn't have a name for the resentment. I just knew that I wanted my uncle to love me, and he wouldn't, or he couldn't. So eventually I got to the point where I said, you know what? I have to choose how I'm going to navigate through this. I get to choose. So just think for a moment to yourself. What do I have? What do I experience? What are my paradigms that I feel like I have no choice about? And then really start to look at them. Because what you will find is many of them, more than not, we do get to choose. One of the things Terry mentioned was the idea of fixed income. Okay, not sure what that means exactly. I mean, I know what it means, but I'm not sure what that means exactly. It's fixed, then it's not broken. Right? I get to choose. I get to choose. I don't have to identify fixed income the way our culture and society identify fixed income. So when someone says to me, well, I'm on a fixed income, there's a part of my conscience that immediately has to affirm for them. Then that means your income is not broken. It's fine. Now, I may not say that to them because people are going to receive what they're able to receive at the time that they're able to receive it. But I have to know it first. Because otherwise, what do? Well, I'm on a fixed income. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear. I just said amen to their idea of lack and scarcity. I chose to commiserate with them. I chose to take their, okay, so I got your scarcity consciousness and fixed income, and I raise you, I just lost my job, and I'm on welfare. And, like that's, in essence, energetically, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to one-upmanship them. Why would I choose that? You go to the doctor, and the doctor says this. Got that, understand that. But we can choose what that is going to mean moving forward. My father was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease when I was in 4th or 5th grade, somewhere around there. And he should have died before I left elementary school. But he didn't. And then years go by, and the first doctor that diagnosed, he died. And my father goes on, and then the second doctor that re-diagnosed and whatnot, he died. And my father's now, I'm in high school now, and years and years go by. Now it's 2001, and I get a letter from my father, and he says, come home. If you get a chance, come home. I need to chat with you. And I go home. And he explains this thing to me that I wanted to live long enough to see you become, to graduate elementary school, go into middle school, go into high school, to become a man. I wanted to see that, and I did. Now, in reference to this, does that mean he chose, rather than let this thing called disease weaken me, I'm going to choose to be strong enough to see my son get where I want my son to get? Now, I don't know, because I don't know what his soul path was, but I know that when he explained this to me, he explained it in a way that had such conviction that I was convinced that my father chose to live long enough to see me get where a place where he knew, I can leave now and know that you're fine. Because the moment he told me that, less than 4 months later, my father transitioned. I don't know if you've ever seen Star Wars, but there are a couple of instances in Star Wars that I equated this with, being the nerd that I am and the Jedi that I am. Did anybody in here not see Star Wars? Okay. Oh, we got to do a field trip there. Okay, we got to arrange something there. But there's this scene. The first time we see this happen is Obi-Wan Kenobi is fighting Darth Vader, and they're battling, and the others are escaping. And Obi-Wan says to Darth Vader, if you strike me down, I will become stronger than you can imagine, because I will become one with the Force. And as Luke is running, Obi-Wan sees him going and says, you're fine now. And he turns his lightsaber off, and Darth Vader cuts through. But Obi-Wan's not there. He surrendered his body to the Force. So he cut through an empty cloak. Then later, Empire Strikes Back, we now have Luke Skywalker being trained by Yoda, and Yoda tells him, I've done what I was here to do. And he, when 800 years old you become, look this good you will not. Like, he goes through this whole thing. And he pulls the blanket up over him. He's like, I'm done. I've done what I was here to do. And he vanishes. He surrendered. He was like, I did what I was here to do. And at that time, I was only thinking, my father chose. He chose his time. How are we moving through this thing called life? There's this idea, one of the things Terry mentioned was this idea of the Christ, right? Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Christ consciousness, Christ mind, or the Christ. And I've been having this conversation with a couple people, realizing that when they mention it, they're actually, and it baffles me because it's one of the most powerful things, but they're speaking about it and they're resonating with it at a very low frequency. So I started looking at like, why is that? Why are they referencing it that way? And they're talking about it as if it's this separate, whatever it is. And I'm conversing with them, and one of the things that I hear is, when they hear or comprehend or speak Christ, they hear Savior, Messiah. And for them, it means that Christ consciousness needs to save me. It needs to Messiah me. Like, I need it to rescue me. Rather than understanding that there's another aspect of what it means to be the Christos, to be the anointed one. And when we understand and we choose to be anointed, it means we choose to be selected. We choose to be ordained into this thing called life. We choose to be powerful enough to walk the walk and talk the talk. We get to choose. We get to choose how much. You go to Starbucks, right? Some people don't drink coffee. I do. Just letting you know in case you ever want to go off of coffee. Just saying. Sidebar. I needed to mention it. So, Starbucks. And one of the things about Starbucks is you walk in and they say, how may I help you? And you say, I'd like a caramel macchiato, whatever, whatever. And they ask, what's the next question they ask you? What size? Because you get to choose. And you and you get to choose. Diletta, what size is that?
It's a tall.
It's a tall. Then there's a, next one, grande.
Yeah.
Then there's a venti.
Yes.
You get to choose. Now, let's suppose, as she takes a sip, let's suppose that represents this cup that Terry is talking about. What if we get to choose the container that Spirit is showing up as? And I can be a tall, which is actually a small. Or I can be a grande, which is actually a medium. Or I can be a venti. I can be what Jesus was as a venti. I can be what the Buddha was as a venti. I can be that to the degree that now I have, it's not just this much overflow. It's not just this much overflow. It's this much. I went to Starbucks one time, and this was way back when. This is one of the reasons why I ended up being 305 pounds-ish, but that's a different story. So I went in, and the woman said, "What size do you want?" And I said, "By any chance, see that garbage can over there? By any chance, you have to have a cup that big?" And she looked at me, and I said, "Like, what is that, a gallon?" "Yeah, I'd like a gallon." And she cracked up. Like, because I was messing with her because she was having a not-so-great day, right? So I chose to be the embodiment of humor to lighten her load. But somewhere in there, I was also metaphysically, symbolically, allegorically, metaphorically saying, I want that. I want to be larger than I currently feel like I am. Where in our lives can we choose to be this? So I moved to Richmond, Virginia in 2000, right? Now, I don't remember when I first read The Science of Mind magazine. I don't know when I don't know. I know it was while I was in Pittsburgh and read several of them. But I do know when I had the first one that I ever owned. And I worked at the Barnes & Noble in Richmond, Virginia. I was a student at VCU, and I worked at Barnes & Noble. And somebody came in, and they were looking for The Science of Mind magazine because I had forgotten about it. And I walked over to the magazine aisle and showed it to her, and she took 2 or 3 of them and left. And I started to walk away and said, I want one too. So I grabbed one for myself. This is the first Science of Mind magazine I ever owned that was mine. I still have it. And one of the things it says on the cover, energy as money. Energy in nature. Energy of mind. Right? Now, share something. Because I don't know how well you can see how highlighted this is. Don't laugh at me. And this bookmark has been there since 2000 on this page. So I find this today and I decide, I want to share something with you. And the specific day is Free to Succeed. Galatians 5:25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Science of Mind, page 410. When we live in obedience to the power which is over us, that's that area. To the power that is over us, we shall be able to consciously direct the lesser conditions that are around us. Lesser conditions like growing old. Like, if I am connected, open at the top, then when things in this world of effect come to me, I have something that I can say about that. Like, I have the ability to put into consciousness that I will not accept this, or that I will accept what is and change what I can change. So like I mentioned this last week, there's this pain that I'm experiencing right now from here to the middle of my back, down my arm, armpit, and chest. Might be something nerve-related. Who knows? Might be something I did at the gym. Might be some karate thing I did. I don't know. But the point is, what is the pain is being felt. But I get to choose if it's, oh my goodness, I get to choose that. So even when it is excruciating, it feels like my body is made out of butter and somebody's taking a hot butter knife and they're like, yeah. Even when it feels like that, I smile. There are moments when I wince and I breathe. Every time there's a pain, that's where I come back to. Because that breath reminds me, I get to choose. So then we go on, free to succeed. We often imprison ourselves with fear, repression, resentment, denial, and ignorance. We crush our potential creative, inventive expression through fear and unclear thinking. We allow dark, restricting thoughts to become boulders in our path. We stumble, sidestep, or sit down where we are and wonder what happened. When we appreciate what we have, are open to something greater, believe we are worthy, focus clearly on the now moment and set a goal, we cannot be denied. We build confidence in ourselves and faith in the infinite source through one step, one affirmation at a time. By bringing clear intention to bear in on our lives, it's like switching on a light in a dark room. All that we desire comes into clear focus. We can see the path and move forward with confidence. The affirmation: I free myself from all thoughts that restrict my life. I choose my desires and goals carefully, knowing that the law of mind responds according to my belief. I speak, act, create from the idea that I have a divine partnership. Any appearance of hindrance or hesitation vanishes as I freely, joyfully, and confidently walk in spirit with clear intention. We get to choose. We get to choose what's going to hold us down. We get to choose what's going to push us forward. Anybody in here ever heard of this thing called an anchor? Guess it goes though.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Like, just something like, give me a good head, don't just, give me something. Okay, so an anchor. You get to choose whether the anchor holds you and prevents you from moving, or is keeping you firmly anchored and grounded. You get to choose. It's the same anchor, but is it holding you back or holding you firm? Because if it's holding you firm, you know when to pull it up, because you get to choose. But if it's holding you back, not moving. There's something wrong with me. The oar must be broke. Like we're going to blame it on, it's the water. The water doesn't, the boat, this boat, like we're going to blame it on something else. Rather than looking at what is the cause of me not moving forward. What is the cause of me thinking that I'm old? What is the cause of me thinking that I'm not worthy? What is the cause of? Somewhere there is a seed, and that seed has taken root, and it is growing and distributing fruit in the garden of our consciousness, the garden of our mind. But if we don't find that tree, that plant, and assess it for what it is producing, then it's going to continue to produce after like kind. It's going to continue to drop apples of unworthiness with seeds that then go into the soil and create more trees of unworthiness. We have to go to that place in mind and choose anew. So once again, if you could choose, let's not say you get to choose how old you are. You get to choose how old you feel. Check this out, because I'm going to even change that. You don't get to choose how old you feel. You get to choose how young you feel. You see how that happens? You start with, I get to choose, not how old I am, because I'm 52. That's what is. I've been in this human incarnation for 52 years. I don't get to choose that. I mean, I can go get a fake ID and say, I'm 35. What for? What? Why lie? This body is 52 years old. But I get to choose, does it move like a 52-year-old? From the inside. So I don't care how from the inside. Not how old it feels, but how young does it feel? How much vibrancy do I feel? We get to choose. Let's pray. Simply breathing. Breathing in the consciousness of absolute oneness. Knowing that this breath identifies each and every one of us as anointed, as the chosen one. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. One house, yet many mansions. One mind, yet many incarnations of that one mind. That's what you are. And in this breath, we anchor into that. And so what I know is that right here, right now, everyone in this room is divine, because that's what God is. And I know that what it is must show up in, through, and as all that it is. There is not a corner of this planet, of this universe, of the galaxy, of space or time where God, source, love, joy, magnificence does not exist. Whatever is God. Whatever is not yet formed, not yet spoken, not yet created, that void from which all things come is also God. And knowing that it is all there is, the spoken and unspoken, the seen and the unseen, that which is and that which is yet to be, it's all good, it's all divine, it's all whole, perfect, and complete. And knowing that that's what it is, I speak this word knowing it is the truth for myself. And it's not just myself, but it's for every person in this room, this city, this planet and beyond. Love, joy, infinite creation, infinite possibility, infinite youth and vitality, infinite energy. So infinite that our cup can never truly run out. But we can choose to empty it. Choose to see it as empty. Choose to move from scarcity. But I speak this word knowing that right here, right now, that choice is for life affirmingness towards that which God is. Right now, life, zeal, excitement, flexibility, strength, stamina, endurance, health and wellness in ways that I cannot even imagine showing up right now, in, through, and as every man, woman, and child in this room. And knowing that that's what is, I speak this word with confidence, as a declaration, as a command, that the universe must demonstrate accordingly. Because what we say is that once it is placed in the mind of God, the law must demonstrate accordingly. And so I stand in witness of that which the law now must demonstrate in, through, and as each of us. And so in gratitude, I stand on this truth. In gratitude, I speak this truth. In gratitude, I release this truth back into the mind from whence it came, knowing that it is already done, knowing that it is already so. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.